regular basis as we gear up for all the explosion that we recognize and know that is in the process of coming.
They should look forward, Larry, for a notice going out either this afternoon or first thing in the morning. I'm not sure when they got it sent out with the link and everything, but it will be Wednesday afternoon, 2 o'clock Central Time, and we've already upgraded the capacity, so we should not have any issues with anybody not being able to get in.
Good, good. Well, I know that everybody here is more than aware of everything that's happening in the world and the explosion that is taking place and the way that things are shutting down. I wanted to be as up to date as I could be, so I just kind of kept scouring the internet and I'm watching broadcasts up as late as I could. The latest broadcast that I saw is they're projecting up to 1 million jobs will be lost in the month of April. And so we're in a really unique situation. I looked at 3 other places that talked about that people are being asked to stay home and work if possible. And they're saying, and you're going to need to stay home. And then there's the hint behind that you may never come back. So this is a real situation. So from a standpoint of saying that during the Great Depression, there's some people that really did well. And they were the people that just said, okay, what is the things that need to be done in this circumstances for me to do well, instead of I can't do well because it's a depression. And so as we talk today in preparation for this, and I've talked to a number of our leaders out there that are really good thinkers, there's never been a better time in the history of this world for building a home-based business like today. It's never existed. We've got the technology to allow it to happen. And you're going to be able to talk to people in the next 2 or 3 days that you may have tried to talk to last week if you're an affiliate, that were not open to listen because they're not interested in another source of income, that are really interested in another source of income now. And so we are here to discuss how we feel like that we're positioned in an extremely unique way to offer the best financial opportunity in this situation for people to cover additional income and even some very strong income because of what we have to offer and the way it's positioned, the way the compensation is paid, and that it's not that we're requiring somebody to make a purchase this month and make a purchase next month and make a purchase the next month and keep doing those kind of things. So there are so many factors here that are coming into play that have never been in play in my lifetime, as I've been out there in marketing since I was 10 years old and I'm 76. So this is a really unique environment. 2 things that I think are critical as we address this here, and I'll Alex, if you don't mind, I'll let you start, and then we'll just let Mike come in and add. Here, this is extremely important. We're going to say things in as positive a way as possible to say them. But I can tell you that there's already a task force in place. I've looked at 3 websites tonight. The government is watching like a hawk anybody that's claiming that they can prevent this virus or that they can cure this virus. They're watching like a hawk. And so we've already said when they get through talking some, I'm going to go into some of our fundamental sites. But our key position is that nothing heals sickness and disease except the body's true healers. That God's put in every single cell the capacity for healing, cells that are open and can receive nutrition and life. That nothing man creates can heal. So we're not here to remotely suggest for 1 second that this man can stop the virus from coming, getting on you, in you, nor are we suggesting for 1 minute that this man can heal anything that has to do with what comes in through this virus. That being said, we've got wonderful things that we can say about how this unique technology can put the body in its best position, maybe anywhere that can put the body in place, to be able to let the body do what God's designed the body to do. So, Alex, why don't we start with you? We've got a good group of folks here, 237 as we currently speak. That's a good group.
Yeah, thank you, Larry, and thank you everyone for being here. And first thing, I wanted to address three things super fast. Number one is that everyone at my company, the Healing Codes Trilogy, whatever you call it, that we've been doing for almost 20 years now. We are involved and behind this 100% with all of our resources, all of our contacts, everything we've got. And I've been searching for 20 years, the best things around the world. It started, I was searching for Hope's depression, but then after her depression was gone, it continued just searching for the best things that are out there that can help people, because that's what I felt like I was supposed to do. And in 20 years, this is the best thing I've ever found. And you've heard me say this before. The three things we know of that it does, two of them were considered impossible until now. Okay, but I just want to assure you, we have a bunch of people. Our whole infrastructure is totally committed to this. We talk about it every day almost, and even though you see Larry the most probably and Ed, we're all here working behind the scenes. Secondly, Dr. Bruce Lipton, he's a friend of mine. I've known him for a long time now. My manager was also his manager a number of years ago, and we did events together and all sorts of things. And one of Dr. Lipton's most noteworthy discoveries, I would say, is that every cell we have at any given time is either open or closed. If it's open, it heals, it cooperates, it reproduces, it does the job it's supposed to do, etc. If it closes, all that starts to change. It becomes toxic, it quits cooperating, it quits doing the job it's supposed to do. If it's a liver cell, it quits cleaning blood. If it's a neurological cell, it quits helping you be creative and imaginative. And if the cell stays closed, then right before it dies, the odds skyrocket that something bad's going to happen. You're going to get a disease gene, or you're going to get sick, or whatever. And I'll never forget the very first time I ever heard Dr. Lipton speak, and he said, and this is a direct quote, that an open cell is impervious to illness and disease. Now think about that. An open cell is impervious to illness and disease. Let me explain that just a second. If in light of the coronavirus, if 100 people are exposed to a virus, a bacteria, a toxin, and 100 die, okay, then that means it was because of that toxin and had nothing to do with the malfunctioning of the body, that anyone that got this would be killed, like eating a bunch of rat poison or something, okay? If you eat enough of it, 1,000 people out of 1,000, 1 million out of 1 million will die if they eat that. Now, among other things, where let's say 100 are exposed and 50 people get it and 50 people don't, which is the case with the coronavirus and almost every other thing like that known to man in history, okay? 100 people out of 100 who are exposed to corona do not get corona, all right? It's split, all right? So probably no one knows what the exact percentage is, but let's say it's 50-50. Well, what's the difference there? What's the difference in the people that got it and the people that were just as exposed but did not get it? It is internal. It is your immune system. It is your stress paradigm. It is all of those sort of things. Yes, it also includes the things that everybody's talking about, like if you're older. And the other big one is if you're immunocompromised, which means your immune system is not working at 100%, 90%, maybe even 80%. Okay. Now let's go to that a second. All right. One of the things that have been indicated by the testing on the Q3 is that it instantly reduces biological age. That's one of the three major areas. And if you're familiar with the scientific method and scientific testing, when the FDA approves a drug or something, that doesn't mean it worked for everybody. In fact, it virtually never works for everybody. What that means is that it works a certain percentage more than it doesn't work. And it hopefully doesn't kill you, although they're wrong about that sometimes in recall. But it works enough percentage-wise that the FDA can say, okay, we think this is a good thing to get out there that can help people. Okay, it's not a cure. It's not going to do 100%, maybe even 90%, but it's really going to help. Okay. The testing that was done on the Q3 is not like that. And here's how. It wasn't that a certain percentage had their biological age benefited. It was 100%, which you never see in regular drugs, medications, etc. Now, the Q3, and Mike can speak to this later, was never tested on the coronavirus. All right. So no, it'd be ridiculous for me or anyone else to say it does anything related to corona because it's never been tested with corona. But what it has been tested on is the impact from your immune system. There's not a medical doctor on the planet who would say that your biological age could get lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser over time while you're doing something, and that has nothing to do with your immune system. No medical doctor would say that. And if he does, he obviously has an axe to grind with something because it makes no medical sense. If your biological age gets younger, it is benefiting or it is being caused or something by your immune system. It is an asset, let's say, to your immune system. Okay. So I'm the last one who's ever going to say this cures anything, but I do believe it is a benefit to your immune system. Now, you can take that wherever you want to take it, but that's a pretty important aspect in this discussion, okay? And the last thing, and then I'm going to get out of here, is that the things that the Q3 was tested for are the things we've shared with you. And again, 2 out of 3 of them were believed to be impossible until now. What else does it do that we did not test it for? I have no idea. Is it possible it does some other things that are really cool and great too? I think it would be shocking if it didn't, okay? But it was not tested except for those 3, all right? So I agree with Larry. I think I've been hearing from so many people in the last week, and I've heard from 4 today, who are concerned about money for their future that never have been before. But this thing has gotten so crazy so fast, and they've been getting rumors from their job that they might not be coming back. So I totally agree with that. So that's it for me. And love you guys. And we'll continue the discussion as long as people want to discuss it. Not maybe all tonight, but as we go on. But anyway, that's why I'm here. That's what I believe. And I don't think it's an accident either that we discover this thing that does two things that have been considered impossible. And on the other side, you've got this coronavirus where everybody is saying this stuff has never happened before, ever in the history of the world. I mean, that was the Black Plague and stuff, but what is happening now with, don't go to restaurants, no sports, no more than 10 people. This has never happened before. Well, a few months ago, we were telling you that about the Q3, that what the Q3 does has never happened before. Maybe that's not a coincidence. Okay? You can go with that wherever you want, but maybe God has something to do with that. Anyway, love you guys. God bless. That's it for me, Larry. Larry, I think you're muted.
Do that so you won't hear me make strange noises. Okay. I think mine can be a good place. You can go any place you want to, but if you would pick up first on the testing you did that showed immediate compromise to the immune system when person took a cell phone in their hand and the different places that was showing up. So we're not theoretical here about is the immune system being impacted. Well, you're muted too. So now you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Thanks, Larry. Alex, thank you. We really appreciate that opening statement, the collection of statements that you made that were so appropriate and really kind of summarized everything. In answer to your question, Larry, the electrodermal screening has been around about 70 years. It found its roots initially in Europe, and the electrodermal screening, every organ in the body vibrates, and that's how our God designed our internal organs and every cell in our body to communicate with each other is through vibrations. And each of the internal organs have what is considered an average vibration rate, and what falls, depending on your age, the average that your heart vibrates at, the liver, the kidneys, the spleen, all of that. So there's a norm. Well, in the testing that we had done, we had 7 different individuals test with a practitioner that was very highly qualified. And she noticed in every test, the procedure was simple. We would get a baseline so that everyone would know what their baseline vibrational rate was for all those different internal organs. And then we would immediately take a cell phone, call someone else in the room, and have an open line with that cell phone, and we would put that cell phone in their hand. Then they would have their right hand on the device, the electrodermal screening, and in the left hand, they would hold the cell phone with the open line. Well, immediately, and I stress the word immediate because it was instant in how it happened. She said in every individual, the first thing compromised when the cell phone was added into the mix was the autoimmune system. She said that the spleen, the lymph nodes, the gallbladder, all those organs that were responsible for our autoimmune system were compromised. Their vibration levels dropped. She said it was, she said, this is what happens when someone goes into a fight or flight syndrome. When it is no longer a priority for the body to fight off germs and bacteria and things like that. What's more important is the release of cortisol, adrenaline to fight or flight. And so this was consistent through all 7 of the individuals that we had tested that day. And for me, this is a very strong indicator that in our technology, in the bioelectrical impedance analysis testing that we've done, it showed a increase in skeletal muscle mass. Well, that increase in skeletal muscle mass, when you have more skeletal muscle mass available, when your cells are open and able to receive the nutrients, the hydration that they need to perform, the mitochondria able to produce that adenosine triphosphate for that energy, then we believe that that's a very strong indicator that not only is your autoimmune system improving, but your immune system is also improving. And another test that we did that I think has a great deal of bearing on this was the hospitals that I went to and had posterior tibial artery blood flow testing at the ankle. And this was done with Doppler radar, and it was amazing. We had, of the 11 people we tested, there was an average 20% increase, and some of them was over 30%, some of them around 7-8%, but there was an increase in blood flow at the posterior tibial artery immediately upon these individuals standing on our technology. Well, 30% of every heartbeat goes to the brain. So if our technology is improving blood flow in the body, is that not beneficial to the brain? We believe that it's an indicator that it is. And so these are reasons why, I mean, we're so excited about what our technology has been shown to do through the FDA cleared devices that we've tested it with.
It's I see that we've really got a really good group of people, and I'm going to assume that many of you have not been here before, and we're really delighted to have you. But let me just say this, and we'll go through a couple of places here. I'm going to bring you in and let you see just a couple of slides here so that you'll understand basically what we understand, what's happening with the frequencies that are coming from holographic chips. There's no battery in here. These are frequencies that have been discovered in nature as God created them. 12 years of total development to get to the right combinations to be where we are. And those are then placed on holographic chips. Some of you probably don't know what a hologram is about, but if you're old enough to remember when negatives were taken of any picture, I grew up with negatives, okay? If you tore a negative in half and you were going to go develop that negative, the only thing you could get was the negative, the half that you had a negative of. That's not what it is with a hologram. With a hologram, 100% of whatever the image is in every single dot. No matter how small, it's inside that dot, which means that when we take this chip, and I'll show you another picture before, when you take these chips, the frequencies are programmed on holographic chips, which means there are multiple surfaces that this is coming from. And so what takes place, and for those of you, please, if you've got guests here, get with them, make sure that before they go to sleep, that they go into your site and they look at, under the vision, profound discovery. We may even show that in just a minute. It's short, but Alex talked about Dr. Lipton and Dr. Lipton's statement that it's impossible for a cell that is in growth mode, an open cell, to get sick. You can't get that cell sick. Why? It's got the life of God in it. He's in the water, he's in the blood, he's in the nutrition, he's in the oxygen, and God won't get sick. So that's why they don't get sick. Okay. But
another reason I just need to jump in and people need to understand is that healthy cell is vibrating at such a high rate that the low vibration of the germ or the virus cannot penetrate that cell.
That's right. Nothing. The membrane of a cell is the wall that protects, and on every single cell there are receptors. Those receptors are designed to receive all the good stuff and not receive any of the bad stuff, and the membrane keeps any of the bad stuff from being able to penetrate. But when a cell closes, Mike talked about fight or flight. Millions and millions of cells close just like this with fight or flight. When the threat, perceived or real, leaves, boy, it doesn't mean that all these cells opened up, because we're in trouble is a huge, massive signal. And maybe I wake up in the morning and I'm not as disturbed as a much weaker signal. Many cells don't reopen. And Alex talked about it, Mike talked about it, which means what? That cell can no longer go to the bathroom. That cell can't take in food from the outside. It can't get rid of the poop on the inside. That cell is immediately compromised. And as Alex said, that's the cell not only that can get sick, if it doesn't die before it gets sick, dying is a good thing because our body's designed to get rid of dead cells all the time. But if before it gets sick, it gets contaminated with disease, now it becomes a killer inside to spread the disease and all that kind of stuff. And so what Dr. Lipton said about a closed cell caused me to get to Alex, and I knew they had a relationship. And I said, Alex, I need you to get to Dr. Lipton because I have two questions really important, a project that we're working on. And the questions are these. Number one, can a photon penetrate a closed cell? There's not a nutritional product in the world. There's not the best organic food. Everything that comes there is a molecule is too big to penetrate. Can't penetrate a closed cell. Can a photon penetrate a closed cell? Yes or no? And if it does, can it cause a closed cell to open? His answers to both immediately was yes. Now that's the foundation of everything we're seeing that is so wonderfully distinctive here. So these are photons. Quantum. Quantum is a photon. You can say quantum leap and be talking about some kind of TV program, but a real quantum is a photon. It's the smallest thing that exists out here. You can't go out in the yard and get you a handful of photons because it's energy packets, okay? And so the bottom line is at 186,000 miles per second, frequencies are coming off this and headed to 70 trillion cells. Now, Alex said, how many things might this address in the future that we don't even know now? Well, what do we mean by address? This means get the body in its best place that we know of for the body to be able to do what the body has to do before anything is healed or cured. So let me show you a couple of slides right quick. And then we'll come back, and Mike, you can just hop in here and add to this and anytime you want, but I just want to show, so everybody's clear. We do not want to say one thing that would run afoul of the governmental forces that are watching like a hawk what's going on here. I'll come back to that in just a minute. But this is huge. This will become major. We're going to make some changes in the overview page because right now, as wonderful as it is to say you can hit a golf ball farther, that's not what's on TV 24/7. Okay, what's on the TV 24/7 is this virus and how debilitating it can be. But the strength issue is really important because I've not listened to a single report when they suggest what should you do to best be able to maybe prevent or at least be able to ward off what happens when it comes if you do get infected. And exercise or strength is one of the big ones that they talk about. Really, really big. We've talked about hydration, water the other night. That's really, really important.
Really important, yes.
But this is a really critical place that we're standing here with both feet. We believe this with everything that's in us. Nothing heals sickness, disease, or injury except the body's true healers. Nothing. And guess who said it first? Well, I could get in scripture and show you that. But anyway, the reality of the true healers have been ignored, suppressed, and challenged by the economic interests of medical and pharmaceutical industries around the world, in spite of the fact that the father of modern medicine proclaimed the truth nearly 2,400 years ago. Hippocrates, everybody takes the Hippocratic Oath. Natural forces within us are the true healers of diseases. Nothing man creates can heal. Now, if everybody will take that, so that what we're saying about the bands is we're not saying the bands heals anything, or that man can create anything that does heal. And that's really, really important. Let me show you this slide. I just got it from a doctor's site 30 minutes ago. Anyone claiming that their product can prevent or cure the coronavirus is lying, because they cannot possibly have that information in any scientific way. So we're not trying to run afoul with any of that. Now, let me show you this, because this is really important to us and the community. Our community right now is probably 80% 65 or older. So this is exactly what the current statistics that have come from China are all about. Look at the percentage that are dying that become infected, 2.3. Look at the ages. So you see where the problem starts really getting much bigger? Okay, 60 and up. Now, look what are underlying conditions. Where there's no underlying conditions, 0.9 have died. These underlying conditions make real compromised situations for every single person. So this is where we are, that nutrition, healthy cells heal themselves. That's the way everything's designed to be. That your original life formula grows and doubles from every open cell in your body. This is a picture of the receptors receiving the input, the nutrition. They've got this antenna that says open, and when this says open, it opens over here. But this is the reality of what takes place when a cell is closed. The membrane of closed cells lose their ability to stop the invaders. That's what Mike was just talking about. Sickness or death are guaranteed. So the gateways of open cells receive the life in the bloodstream. The gateways of closed cell cannot receive the life, the nutrition, the water, and the waste cannot get out, and those cells become, bam, big time in trouble. This the minute that some virus or something like that comes along. So fight or flight causes millions of cells to close. When they close, the life-sustaining organs on the inside shut down, and the blood rushes to the arms and the legs. And when the stress passes, many cells don't reopen. Some get the message, some don't. But this is what Dr. Lipton said. The cell, and Alex has said this, the cell that's in growth mode is impervious to disease. When we ask Lipton two profound questions, can a photon penetrate a closed cell? And once inside, can it open a closed cell? His answer to both questions was yes. So what does that mean? Well, that means this, that quantum photons can penetrate the membrane. Where do they come from in this technology? The photons from the quantum 3 holographic chips open closed cells. And when that happens, you instantly fire up the mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell. And as Mike says, it begins this whole process to producing the chemical energy that the ATP creates. So this is where it is. This is what happens. The mitochondria is doing inside every cell the same thing that a chloroplast for photosynthesis is doing outside. It does on the inside. So this is what it's about. This is where we want to get to, so that this energy, that when Mike talks about skeletal muscle. He's talking about releasing what's already in there and compromised. So this is this huge. We're not in any way saying that the quantum 3 technology heals or cures sickness and disease. We're not, it absolutely is not true. So don't ever tell anybody it does. But what does it do? Well, it can cause closed cells to open to life, health, and peace, and receive the life and reject these diseases. But what's rejecting? The cell itself. Okay? Nutritional and health cells heal themselves, so this is where we are. Nothing heals sickness and disease except the body's true healers.
And nothing is entering the body except the frequencies from that hologram. That those frequencies are enabling the body's ability to do what God designed it to do. That's
and so, yeah. And let me make one other summarization here. I'm trying to shut down my share screen. And oh, I was going back. I already done that. Sorry. Okay, so let me add one thing to this that's critical. Think about all the time, all the money that is being spent and is now being spent to talk about how to live through this period of time. And we've got a band that will sell for $200. We got a bundle that'll sell for $500. And as Charlie said, one of our key people, it's one and done and no auto ship. And we can go to the world and say to the world, we've got an answer here. $500, you can put your family, you put your pets. We're talking today about what Alex talked about, what Hope did with her pet. But we can put everybody in a situation that they can be in a position to say, somebody asked me, do you sleep with it on? Well, I've always been sleeping with it on ever since. But with what's going on now, I'd never take it off except for the shower, okay? That's just, why would I stop having all this wonderful vibration come into my body and get every single cell that it can get operating to get operating? Why would I do that? That makes no sense whatsoever. But out of that comes what has become really important. I'm going to tell a quick story about my son. My son is sitting in a position with a company to make over the next 2.5 to 3 years, $5 to $10 million, except they've had to close their doors. So I got to talk to him tonight about saying, boy, I really feel for people that don't have a nest egg, nothing set aside, and are losing the job. We got people that work for us that they're going to be really hurting because they don't have what I've got set aside. Okay, I'll be okay. But his home run that he's been expecting in a short period of time for a lot of hard work, he says, I don't know if we'll ever recover. We're having to close our doors because of what it was, needing people to come in, use a really wonderful piece of equipment, but to come in, get in the room, be around other people that are older. He said, don't know. Well, that's close at home. I got another family member that owns a restaurant, a high-end restaurant. Guess what they've done? Close the doors. So that's what Alex meant when he said people talk to him today concerned about money that's never been before. Well, this, and we'll do this more tomorrow night, but this is a way to have an income flow while we do a wonderful thing of putting as many people in a position to be able to sleep. I should have said this a while ago. One of the first things it says is you need to get more sleep. Well, the number one thing I've heard from people from putting this technology on, the number one thing I've heard is sleeping better with older folks. Well,
yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah. So we're talking about immediate increase of strength. We're talking about being able to have an override to all this negative stuff that's coming to us, that's not only stopping the negative stuff that's coming, but overriding it and bringing us into a more positive place than we were even naturally. That's the cell rejuvenation. So it's just absolutely, that's why we call it quantum 3. It's quantum photon. What? It's operating at the speed of light. So I will say this, and Mike, I'll stop and let you add. We have so many people that have been real pros at marketing for the last some 40, 50 years in the whole nutritional field that's in person-to-person marketing. To a person, they've never known a single product or service that they could say, put it on and you get instant provable results. Never. So what more do you want than to, instead of saying, well, if you take this, we think this is one of the greatest nutritional products ever. And if you keep taking it, well, I know, but it's going to take you 3 or 4 months. It's got to work its way through the system. Well, with what's going on out there and Larry's age, I don't want to wait 3 or 4 months. I like the idea of putting it on and being able to immediately know that I had instant increase in strength. Not because this is battery powered electrical energy coming in, but it is frequencies that are releasing the energy that's already there that's being compromised. So Mike, you want to add anything more here?
Yeah, the something that you mentioned about the holograms, they've been used or being used today right now for these huge computer companies that make computers that they put holograms for storage inside that computer because they have the capacity to store so much information. And that hologram is like a CD or a DVD. It stores a tremendous amount of information and your body absorbs that information. And the question that some people have is, well, is there anything in this that I'm going to be allergic to or I'm going to have a negative reaction to? Absolutely not. It's, we liken it to sunlight when it hits your skin. Your body makes vitamin D. Vitamin D is an oil-soluble vitamin. Therefore, you can overdose on vitamin D if you're taking it orally. However, if you're just getting your vitamin D from the sun, the source of the sun, your body, you can be out in the sun for 5 or 6 hours. You may get sunburned, but you're never going to overdose on vitamin D because your body's going to make what it needs and then it's going to stop. Well, it's the same thing with our technology. The body will receive what it needs from those frequencies and then it stops and it will continue to utilize that. And there is a residual effect. We've learned that as well. After several weeks of wearing the technology, you can take it off. And we've done this, taken it off and tested people, and their new baseline was far superior to their previous baseline because having worn the technology for a period of weeks, that the body begins to store that. And so, and again, that example of the sun, you can get out of the sun, you can have a great tan and stay in a dark room for 3 or 4 days, and that tan is going to start to fade because your body is going to start to adjust that. It's the same way with our technology. If you just laid it down and quit wearing it, then after 2 or 3 weeks, then your body is not going to have the same reaction or impact upon it that it did when you were wearing the technology. So, we've had so many incredible results, and it can be something. I tell people, look, if you want to test this, we guarantee it for a 15-day time period because we feel like during that time period, you're going to notice a difference. Either you physically do some testing or you actually feel a difference during that time period. And I even had one gentleman sent me an email. He'd gotten the Quantum 3 on Thursday. This was Friday. He said, I'm well within my 15 days. I want to send this back. This is not what I was expecting, and I'm not happy with this at all. And then he wrote me back 8 hours later and said, listen, I have never had this much energy in my life. He said, I do not want to send this back. I don't want to return this. I just want to let you know that I have never had this much energy. And so I sat down with a medical doctor in a Starbucks, discussed it with him. He got a band from me, texted me about an hour later and said, listen, he said, I know how many push-ups I can do. He said, I can do 75 push-ups. He said, I just did 95 push-ups and I've never done that many before. And the only thing that I've done different is put this band on. And so I tell people, look, if you don't,
excuse me, but wasn't he 70 years old?
I don't remember his age. I don't
Told me he had retired. Excuse me. Okay. I'm sorry.
You know, the thing that I tell a lot of people, some people say, well, Mike, I can't do strength testing. I mean, if you've got a family member, a relative of one of your grandkids or something, test them. I had one of my grandkids increase his vertical jump 2 inches in a matter of seconds. I mean, just from jumping without it and jumping with it. Now you talk about getting his attention. This was a 14-year-old that's in sports, and all of a sudden Pawpaw was a brain trust. He knew what he was doing. So I'm just saying, if you can't do anything physically yourself, get someone that you trust that can, put it on them and let them tell you what it does for them. So
one of our really special ladies, and I don't think she's as senior as me, but she would be classified as a senior citizen. Heard Charlie talking about what he's doing now to test people, which is don't do the strength test that you don't get somebody to get a live cell phone in their hand. And so she had 3 grown muscular men that she got them to put the phone, dial in, have an open phone in their hands out like this, and she could take 2 fingers and push them down. And then put the band in their hand and said, now hold it. And she couldn't move them at all. And that's, Charlie discovered that last week. That is the simplest thing for most people to be able to do. Just get somebody, but this is, see, Mike said something early about the impedance test. That instantly that there was a live cell phone in somebody's hand, the autoimmune system was compromised and started showing up by measurement at different organ spots in the body. And then putting the technology in the other hand, and that immediately being changed and going more positive than it was on the baseline. I don't know what more you would want. I don't know what more that you could expect as far as an immediate scientific kind of explanation of what's going on here. So
it's just, it's that instant. It's not something that is that you have to wear for 2 or 3 weeks before it has an impact on you. These frequencies, as you stated, at the speed of light, 186,000 miles per second, every cell in your body is impacted by this. And it's like a harmonizing effect throughout the body, that the cells become impervious to that outside interference from man-made technology pollution.
There's a lot of questions coming here. And one of the things that could be said is, where are some other scientific aspects? There's heart rate variability. If you go to the website, go under science, then you will see the other things that have been done. And heart rate variability, thermography, boy, but there's plenty there. I love the number one is results that somebody experiences. That's the best. Mike talks often about having a PhD on his own body. I said, well, you got that on your body and I got that on compensation plan. So we got 2 PhDs here, and we both gave ourselves the degree. So for whatever that's what. But anyway, the results have been really, really wonderful. Okay. Let me read from Suzanne Trammell, because this is she's got a question But the other thing I have to tell you about, because I talked to her very, very soon after she first got the band. And she said, since I've been wearing it, I never take it off except for showers. However, I think the holographic plastic is dusty because I take care of 150 trees on my acreage. Have I hurt the plastic? Thanks a ton, because I'm 75 and I couldn't do these trees 8 years ago. Do I just dust it? What do I do?
Well, pat yourself on the back for one thing. And yeah, you can just wipe them off. They're fine. The next generation, what's coming out will be encased in plastic, and they're waterproof. And there would be, you're not going to damage them in any way that way. But yes, you could just take a soft cloth and wipe them off and stick them back in there, and you're going to be fine.
And by the way, those new waterproof versions are what are being shipped right now. So we probably need to get to a closing place here. And Ed, I want you to come in and add whatever you'd like to, but let me just make this as a closing statement. We have been really blessed of such a reception to what we're doing that the first thing we had to do was we had to delete all this inventory that was under the MyCell armor that Mike had. Then we had to get in a scramble to get some just blanks. And we've got more because the first with our logo on them are coming the first week in April. But we knew that it would be better to get this out and let people get experience. So we will be not replacing. We're going to let you keep what you purchased, and we're going to send you a replacement, $10 for shipping. But you're going to get, if somebody does a bundle and they bought 3, we're going to let you get 3. Now, some have tried to buy more than 3. One person can't buy more than 3. We're not trying to set somebody up for retail or any kind of thing like that. But that's really important for you to know and recognize. So we've got the bundle back in place. And the other thing that I needed to say to just a very small group, but that small group is people that tried over the weekend. We had a shutdown on the system back behind our system on taking money that was there on Saturday. And we had a window that we were allowing that would determine commissions for the first part of the month, which will be paid first April the 1st, and then we'll start paying every 2 weeks. But we had a window for anybody that bought during the period of time that we had stopped making the bundle available. We needed to buy some time because we could have run out of inventory. So we went 15 days. Because of what happened, we're going to go until tomorrow night. I've talked to the compensation people. We'll be able to handle this. So if anybody gets qualifications they're trying to do, or anybody that bought a single or bought 2 during that 15-day period of time, you will have until tomorrow night, Eastern Standard Time, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. Is that why we decided to give more time for the Central Standard Time? Okay. 12 o'clock tomorrow night, Central Standard Time. If you order a bundle and you were one of those people that ordered 1 or 2 before, you will be sent out exactly, you'll be able to get 3, and she will deduct from what you paid and put it immediately back on your card. It has to go through the system again, or we wouldn't be able to do the commission right.
Yep.
So there's not many, but there's maybe 30, 40 people that purchased. You've got till tomorrow night to purchase and get the 3 for $500 and be made whole on that, and then have shipped out to you. And then you'll still be able to get the Quantum 3 when it comes and keep it. So we appreciate you moving the inventory out. letting the revenue be generated, that we had some people earn some really wonderful commissions already. And it's that we will talk about that tomorrow night because of where our time is here. But Ed, you want to close this off with anything here?
No, I think it would be helpful before you go into the talking about the commissions tomorrow night, Larry. I think that tell everybody what the largest earnings that somebody made last month.
North of $11,000.
Okay.
Second month.
Yeah, folks, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say 2 months in, the largest check that someone earned by sharing this with this simple 2-tiered affiliate program, second month, a little over $11,000.
Wow, that's great. Golly.
So, and I can say this because this person's wholeheartedly here. They worked for years in this industry and they never had anything that they got that kind of results that fast. And they're as more and more people understand what we're doing is a paradigm shift. And it's not designed to see 97% of the people left out. That's not what it's designed for. It's designed to include every single body. And I'll add one thing here. We even have it set up so a person can be an affiliate for $50 and never have to pull another money out of their own pocket ever again. Other people's money. That's a great way to go. We've had people that still have not bought the band for their own use that are getting some grocery money that they need. Because we're not after your financial capital. We're after your success. We're after your contact capital, your passion capital, your labor capital, but we're not after your financial capital. We don't have any big amount of money we're looking for, and we don't require you to ever purchase now. We don't require any monthly production. We don't require any group production. We just want to go impact the world. But what's happened is this crisis, as Alex said, may be just been served up at an incredibly important time because we may be able to do something extremely unique to help people during this situation.
Don't forget tomorrow afternoon. No, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Tuesday. Wednesday afternoon, 2:00 Central Time. And if you've not already received the notification, you will with the link. And a number of the questions that you're asking this evening that we've not been able to get to, those are administrative type questions. So be sure to be on that call and we'll do our best to answer it. Again, we're going to go as long as it takes. I don't have anything scheduled between 2 and 4 on Wednesday. So if it takes us 2 hours to answer every question, we're going to take 2 hours to answer every question.
Okay.
So that's it.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Mike.